Imagine for a moment you're sitting quietly with a pen and a pad. The intention is clear. You've carved out this time to plan, to build, to create something meaningful. The desk is tidy. The door is closed. An opportunity is whispering. But then, a vibration, a little chime, a sudden itch in the back of your mind. You glance at your phone. Maybe just a peek. 5 minutes pass, then 10. You've wandered mentally, somewhere far from where you began. What happened? Why, with every resource before you, did your attention slip away almost without a fight? Now, what if I told you that this wasn't simply a matter of weak willpower or poor discipline? What if there was something deeper at play? A secret code running quietly in the background, a set of instructions built by years of small, repeated actions. Most people never see it. Most people go through their days reacting to the news broadcast, to the radio signal, to the computer software, never questioning who wrote that code or whether it can be changed. That's the intrigue tonight. There is a blueprint, a set of hidden blueprints guiding your focus, dictating your distractions. It's not the noisy world that holds you hostage. It's the invisible patterns you've allowed to take root inside your own mind. You see, the challenge isn't about wrestling your attention to the ground. You don't tame a lion with brute strength. The challenge is to understand the nature of the beast, to see what it's really after, and then to write a new set of instructions. Not by force, but by wisdom. Not by temporary tactics, but by uncovering and rewriting the rules you've been living by, often without knowing it. Tonight, let's go deeper. Let's lift the hood and peer inside, not just at the gadgets and gizmos of daily life, but at the very operating system that keeps you from living and working at your true capacity. Because if you can see the habit loops, those little cycles of cue, routine, reward that drive you into distraction, you can also dismantle them. And then, my friend, you can reclaim a kind of focus most people have forgotten exists. Imagine what happens when you're no longer at the mercy of every buzz, every impulse. Imagine the confidence that grows when you know you can keep a promise to yourself. Not because you're battling, but because you have made the battle obsolete. That's what I'm inviting you to discover. Not just the blueprint of your own attentional downfall, but the step-by-step method to rewrite it. That's where real power lies. So ask yourself, is your attention really yours? Or is it on loan, rented out to the highest bidder, to the latest novelty, the loudest noise? If you're willing to look beneath the surface, if you're ready to reclaim what has always been yours, your focus, then tonight we uncover the mechanics together. Because once the hidden code is understood, this isn't about managing distractions anymore. It's about directing your destiny. That raises an important question. In an age overflowing with opportunity, why do so many feel more distracted than ever? Why has focus become something rare and difficult to extract, while distractions seem endless and effortless? It's easy to blame the gadgets, the social media, the endless parade of headlines. But if you take away the phone, does your mind suddenly grow silent? Or does it start searching, restless, agitated, hungry for something to do, somewhere to wander? Distraction isn't just out there. It's inside. It's in the grooves of routine, the patterns we've practiced until they become almost invisible. I'll tell you something I learned the hard way. Every action you repeat begins to lay a stone in the foundation of your habits. And if you're not careful, those habits will quietly become the architects of your days. Now, what's truly fascinating is that most distraction doesn't come dressed as destruction. No, it comes in as something innocent. You're working and you feel a tiny nudge, a cue. Maybe it's boredom, maybe it's uncertainty, or just the urge to see what's new. So you reach for your phone, check an email, scan a headline. You barely notice you've shifted, but your mind takes note. You see, the brain loves efficiency. It builds shortcuts, little loops. Here's the pattern, the invisible chain I want you to see. Cue, routine, reward. First, there's the cue, a feeling, a sound, a thought. Then comes the routine, the action you take almost without thinking. And finally, the reward, the little payoff, that spark of relief or satisfaction. It's simple, but it's powerful enough to run your day without you realizing it. You might say, that's just human nature. Everybody's distracted. That's true. But what most people never recognize is how quickly these loops become automatic. You do something once, twice, 10 times. Soon, you're not making a choice. You're obeying a script. The routine gets wired in, and the reward seals the deal. The loop runs silently, quietly steering your ship off course, a degree at a time. Think about it. How many times have you checked an email, telling yourself you'd just look for a second, only to end up surfing the web for minutes or longer? That action feels harmless, but it's become an automatic response. The cue arrives, the routine kicks in, and the reward, however small, completes the loop. And here's the real trap. The more invisible these loops become, the more powerful they grow. You start to believe that distraction is just part of life, that focus is a struggle, that you're a scatterbrained person. But that's just the old loop talking. I'll give you an example from my own life. There was a season where I'd sit down to write or plan, and within minutes I'd find myself getting up, wandering to the kitchen, looking for a snack I didn't need. At first, it seemed innocent. But when I traced the steps, I found the same pattern. A flicker of discomfort, the routine of getting up, and the small reward, a distraction from the challenge in front of me. Once I saw it, I realized how many of my days were being run by these hidden chains. The first task then is to become a detective in your own life. Pay attention not just to the moment you drift, but to what comes immediately before it. Is it a feeling, a thought, a subtle sensation that sets the routine in motion? When you can identify the cue, the loop begins to reveal itself. And once the loop is exposed, the chain can be broken. From there, the work moves below the surface. It's time to examine what sits beneath those cues. What actually gives the urge to disconnect its strength? Direction can't be regained by fighting symptoms. It only returns when the real driver is clearly seen. That's where many people reach for an easy explanation. They point to the bright screens, the beeps, the flashing alerts, the endless updates. But if distractions were only a hardware problem, shutting off the device would solve it. And yet, even in a quiet room, the mind still drifts. So the question remains, why? Because the real triggers aren't always out there, they're inside. It's not just the sight of a new message or a shiny icon. It's the feeling underneath, the silent urge that whispers, check just for a moment. Escape just for a while. Distraction isn't always about information. Sometimes it's about relief. Let me share something you might recognize. You're deep into a project, and suddenly there's a flicker of doubt. Will you do it well enough? Is this even the right thing to be working on? Or maybe you're bored or tired or facing a problem with no easy solution. Those little moments, those uncomfortable feelings become the true spark, the pre-cue that sends you searching for anything to break the tension. See, most people believe they're running from boredom or chasing entertainment. But often they're really trying to escape discomfort, those nagging inner voices, the restlessness. That moment when the work gets a bit too real. It's almost like an itch. You scratch it with a surf through the channels, a click on the web, a snack, a daydream. Before you know it, you're off track. It's subtle, but powerful, because the brain has learned, over hundreds of repetitions, that a certain action brings quick relief. It could be as simple as opening a new tab, looking out the window, or checking for messages you don't expect. These aren't just habits. They're well-practiced routines for escaping the friction of life's harder moments. The real challenge, most of the time, you're not even aware it's happening. You just feel a little uncomfortable, and almost without thinking, you reach for distraction. That's the pre-cue, the invisible tug inside, and it's stronger than any telephone ringing. Now, why does this matter? Because if you want to reclaim your focus, you have to learn to recognize those deeper triggers, the little emotional voids or cognitive discomforts you instinctively try to fill. That's where the real work begins. So next time you find yourself about to wander, pause for a moment. Ask, what's really going on? Are you bored, anxious, uncertain? Are you seeking comfort or simply fleeing from a difficult thought? When you name the feeling, you shine a light on the shadowy corner where distraction breeds. Let me tell you, mastery isn't about never feeling discomfort. It's about learning to sit with it, to let it pass, and to choose your action anyway. That's the difference between drifting through your days on autopilot and steering your own ship, even when the seas are rough. You can become the kind of person who recognizes these internal states, not with judgment, but with curiosity. And once you do, distraction loses much of its power. Because now, you're not just reacting, you're responding. You're awake to the game that's being played inside your own mind. Remember, the issue isn't just the noise around you, it's the signals within you. When those signals become visible, everything about how you use your time and attention can begin to change. With that awareness in place, the next step comes into focus. It's time to see how those subtle triggers move you from intention into routine, often without resistance and usually without notice. Because distractions rarely arrive as dramatic interruptions. They show up in small, almost invisible moments, the kind that slide past awareness and repeat themselves day after day. You see, most people believe distraction is a single act. You sit down to work, then you check your phone. Simple, but it's rarely that straightforward. The routine, the pattern that unfolds once the cue hits, is usually a sequence, a dance. You feel a nudge of discomfort or restlessness. That's the first step. Then comes the rationalization. Maybe you tell yourself you'll only check for a moment, or that you deserve a break. Then the action. Opening a tab, flipping through channels, wandering into the kitchen for a snack you don't even want. And then, before you know it, you've drifted far from where you intended to be. It's like this. Every tiny detour feels harmless, but add them up and you realize you've spent an hour, maybe more, not on purpose, but on autopilot. That's the insidious nature of micro-distractions. Each one feels like nothing, a little moment, a quick glance, a brief check-in. But together, they add up to a tremendous loss of time, of energy, of potential. The real danger isn't always in the big, obvious distractions. It's in those countless moments when your mind slips away, unnoticed, and your best work is traded for a few seconds of novelty. Now here's the kicker. Most people think the payoff, the reward, comes at the end, when you see something interesting or get a reply. But studies show that much of the dopamine, That little burst of pleasure actually comes from the anticipation, the buildup, the act of reaching for the distraction itself. That means the brain is wired to crave the start of the routine, not just the reward at the end. You get a little spark before you even check, before you even see if there's something new. That's why it's so difficult to break the pattern. It's not just about the outcome. It's about the feeling of escape, of possibility, of something just out of reach. That's what pulls you off track. Now you might wonder, why do we keep falling for this? It's because the routine is comforting. It's familiar. Even if it's not productive, it feels good, at least for a moment. That's the power of habit. It's a warm blanket, even when it covers up the work that really matters. I've caught myself in this routine more times than I care to admit. Sit down to work, realize I'm a little uncertain about where to begin, and suddenly I'm adjusting my chair, shuffling papers, checking my calendar for the third time. Each step is another move in the dance of distraction. So if you want to break the chain, start by analyzing your own routine. What exactly do you do when you get sidetracked? Write it down. Watch for the little moves, the micro distractions that slowly drain your focus. Because once you see the routine, you can begin to change it. You're no longer the puppet. You're the one pulling the strings. And remember, perfection isn't required. Awareness is. The moment a pattern is noticed, its grip begins to weaken. That first crack is enough to make real change possible. That question matters because it exposes a hard truth. Most solutions fail because they never reach the root. Surface-level tricks and quick fixes can't hold when the problem lives deep inside the habit loop. Most people know this from experience. They've tried boosting focus with app blockers, moving the phone to another room, even leaving reminders that say, "Stay on task." It works for a while. Then the old habits return. It's like patching a leaking boat with tape. You might stay afloat temporarily, but the water keeps finding its way back in. Why? Because most of these solutions never touch the real engine behind distraction. They tinker with the routine, but they ignore the reason you're running the routine in the first place. You see, if all you do is block an app or hide your phone, your mind, trained by years of habit, will simply find another outlet. Maybe you wander the house instead. Maybe you daydream, or clean, or chat with someone nearby. The loop stays alive because the reward is still calling. That itch for relief, that little payoff at the end of the cycle, hasn't been addressed. Think of it this way. If you're patching cracks without fixing the foundation, you'll always be repairing, never building. That's why sheer willpower alone isn't enough. Sure, you can grit your teeth and force yourself to focus for a while. But willpower is a limited resource. It fades, it tires. And as soon as it runs dry, the old loops come marching back. The real problem is we rarely stop to ask what the distraction is actually giving us. Is it comfort? Is it certainty? Is it a moment's escape from boredom or discomfort? Until you shine a light on that reward, until you understand what you're really seeking, you'll keep running the same routine again and again, no matter how many gadgets you hide. I've seen this in my own life and in the lives of countless people I've coached. They change the scenery, rearrange the schedule, buy a new planner, yet the old distractions keep finding a way in. Why? Because the core motivation hasn't changed. The why behind the loop is untouched. And here's the critical insight. When you ignore the reward, you're missing the lever that moves everything else. You can't build lasting focus by wrestling with symptoms. You have to address the source. It's tempting to look for shortcuts, a new app, a fresh strategy, a bit more discipline. But real change happens when you look underneath the surface, when you get curious about what you're truly seeking and find a healthier, more productive way to meet that need. So before you try the next quick fix, pause and ask, what's the payoff I keep chasing? What is the real reward at the end of my distraction loop? Once that answer's found, you're no longer patching leaks. You're rebuilding the foundation. And that's how lasting freedom begins. From here, the focus becomes practical. It's time to break down your own loops, identify the cues, the routines, and the rewards so you can deliberately replace them with something better. Because reclaiming your attention isn't a short-term fix. It requires stepping into the role of architect, not a repairman endlessly patching old habits, but a builder designing new loops with purpose, structure, and clarity. First, you start by observing. Every time you catch yourself drifting off course, pause for a moment. Don't scold yourself. Just get curious. What was the cue? Was it boredom, uncertainty, a sudden urge for novelty? Was it a sound, a thought, or maybe just a feeling of restlessness? Write it down if you have to. The clearer you get about your unique cues, the more power you have to change the routine that follows. Next, take a hard look at the routine itself. What do you actually do when you get distracted? Is it reaching for your phone, opening another tab, wandering out of the room? Don't settle for vague answers. Get specific. The more honest you are, the easier it becomes to spot the pattern when it starts. Now here's the crucial step. Ask yourself, what's the real reward? What am I actually seeking in these moments? Is it relief from stress, a sense of control, a quick hit of pleasure, or just a break from the task at hand? Once you know the answer, you hold the key to change. Because now, you can begin to redesign the loop. You don't have to fight the old routine, you simply swap it out. If the cue is boredom and the routine is staring at your phone, but the real reward is just a sense of movement or accomplishment, try a different action that gives you the same reward. Stand up and stretch, take a short walk, jot down a quick idea. Give your mind what it's seeking, but in a way that moves you forward, not sideways. This isn't about perfection. Habits are built through repetition, not willpower. Every time you replace an old pattern with a new, intentional action, you're laying down a fresh track in your mind. It won't always be easy, and you'll stumble. Everyone does. But with each repetition, the new routine grows stronger, the old loop weaker. And remember, consistency is more powerful than intensity. You don't have to overhaul your life overnight. Just begin by changing one loop. Catch one distraction in the act and rewrite its story. Then do it again and again. Slowly, you'll build a chain of focus-driven actions that carry you further than you thought possible. Let me share something that's helped me more than any app, any gadget, any trick. Celebrate your wins, no matter how small. Every time you catch yourself before the old routine takes over, give yourself credit. That's progress. That's you becoming the person who commands your own attention rather than renting it out to every passing urge. You see, real focus isn't about white-knuckling your way through the day. It's about designing an environment and a set of internal patterns that pull you toward your best work. When you know your cues, when you choose your routines, when you understand your rewards, you become unstoppable. So ask yourself tonight, what loop can you break? What habit can you redesign? What part of your attention can you reclaim? Not by force, but by wisdom and intention. Because in the end, your attention is the architect of your future. Guard it, shape it, invest it wisely. And soon enough, you'll find yourself living days that are not only more productive, but more fulfilling. Days where you're not just getting by, but moving forward step by step toward the life you truly want. Now go write your new code. The blueprint is in your hands.